Hi everyone, this is Bao, and welcome to the Power of BAO, a channel where I share my stories of how I ended suffering and created lasting and unconditional happiness. I remember being 13 years old, and I was suffering from depression and suicidal thoughts at that age, not really knowing what that was. One night, I snuck out of the house, as I often did. I was a rebel like that. I often went to a park near my house, and I would just lay on the grass on this hill and just looking up at the stars. I remember this night so vividly, and really on my own accord, I thought to myself, here I am, just one person, one human being, in this big city, in this bigger country, on this huge planet, in this gigantic solar system, amongst all these stars so far away. My life is just so insignificant, so tiny compared to the stars from distant galaxies. And in a blink of an eye, my life is over. It really got me thinking, what is the meaning of life? What is the point of all of this? Boy, if I could go back in time and tell my 13-year-old self what I know now, but you know what? It wouldn't matter. I wasn't ready to hear it. And I believe that everything happens in the perfect way at the perfect moment. And what I know is that I was seeking something better in life. I was seeking happiness. And I created my happiness through training my mind. I'm not talking about studying or reading to become smarter or having better memory. I'm talking about developing an inner discipline in order to change my attitude about the past, my outlook for the future, and my approach to life today. I first start by identifying the factors that lead me to happiness and cultivating those things, while identifying the factors that lead me to suffering and eliminating them. Often I would wonder, is seeking happiness, personal happiness, self-centered or self-indulgent? Upon reflection, when I was unhappy, I was more self-focused, socially withdrawn, and even antagonistic. Whereas today, I'm always happy, and I'm more sociable, more flexible or open-minded, creative, and able to tolerate life's inevitable struggles. I'm more loving and more forgiving. I try to create a feeling of goodwill and affinity. And so I can see that my personal happiness is directly linked to kindness towards others and not selfish at all. My happiness is determined more by my state of mind than it is from external circumstances. And while things like success may cause me to feel happy and tragedy could result in a period of sadness, my overall level of happiness goes back to a certain baseline, which for the past 4 years I've been working on raising that baseline to a very high level. Sure, good health, wealth, and friendship are some sources of happiness, but without the right state of mind and mental attitude, these things had very little impact on my long-term feelings of happiness. For example, let's talk about my own body image issues and body dysmorphia. I used to be very skinny, and I hated it. I started working out when I was about 15. My dad bought me one of those home gyms. I started to read bodybuilding magazines, looking through them and wishing I could look like them. Looking in the mirror and really hating myself for the body that I had. And being bullied in school only made this worse. This would turn into an obsession, having something to prove, having something to live up to feel accepted. Eventually, I was working out every day, taking all kinds of supplements that promised mass gains or anabolic effects. I got some pretty good results. Over the years, I went from this to this. When friends started commenting on my body saying, "Wow, look how muscular you are," I would shrug it off. "Yeah, right," or whatever. It was never, "Oh, you think so? Thanks for saying so," or "I'm glad you noticed. I've been working out so hard." I still saw myself as the skinny kid. It's funny, I was desperately seeking approval and attention, but when somebody gave me a compliment, and while I felt happy to hear such nice things, deep down I couldn't accept it or acknowledge myself in any way. Never thinking I was good enough impacted my romantic relationships, career, and even inner work and self-reflection. So even with that physique, without the right mental state, it didn't make me happy. Instead, I spiraled deeper into depression and self-loathing. Another example was when I was seeking happiness through acquiring material possessions. I had accumulated many beautiful things. I remember buying my first car, a BMW convertible, triple black. I was so excited. I had closets full of expensive designer clothes and bags. I had about a dozen different suits, about 100 pairs of shoes ranging from sneakers, dress shoes, casual shoes, combat boots, shoes for all occasions. Doing my best to look fashionably current. And not just looking good, but looking great. With all these things, without the right mental state, led me down this path to becoming a self-appointed shopaholic, always looking for that rush of excitement when buying something, thinking that this is what happiness was. And while it did make me feel good and happy for a while, this type of pleasure is fleeting and unstable. And without the right mental state, I always wanted more and more. And again, I was never really happy. Instead, I went deeper into debt and eventually went bankrupt. This mind factor, my outlook on life, how I perceive things, and the satisfaction with what I have, these things impact my experience of daily life. This is the key. And I was able to modify it, raise my baseline level of happiness by developing inner compassion and serenity that is unaffected by changes in material things or external circumstances, all through training the mind. So what do I do to train my mind? And train it to do what exactly? Meditation, gratitude journaling, and affirmations were the tools that I used to train my mind in order to possess a greater calmness of mind, which leads to greater peace of mind, which then creates a greater ability to enjoy a happy life. Developing this calmness of mind, this inner contentment, has allowed me to be happy even when I lost everything and had to start over. In fact, I've sold or have given away most of my designer duds and keep a relatively small wardrobe in comparison to what I used to own. I make a conscious effort to limit the things that I want and learn to acknowledge and appreciate what I already have. My morning ritual starts with writing down in my journal 3 things that I'm grateful for. And over time, I was really able to truly get what gratitude meant. I remember that day. I was talking to a friend on the phone. I was in my backyard. And then all these birds came out of nowhere. For some reason, something clicked. And in that moment, I really got gratitude. And I was grateful for having gotten gratitude. It brought tears to my eyes, and I will never forget that. Also, developing a strong sense of self-worth has allowed me to truly understand unconditional love and have love for life and everyone, including myself. Along with my journaling, I always recite affirmations as a way to rewire my brain and thought patterns. I say things like, I am loving and lovable. I am strong and powerful. I am good enough and worthy. I say this in front of a mirror 10 times, and I say it like I mean it. And over time, I was able to change the way I saw myself and elevate my self-worth and self-esteem. I would say that I have reached my highest state of happiness, which was when I reached the stage of liberation, where there is no more suffering. That is genuine, lasting happiness. I often remind myself that what I am truly seeking in life is happiness. I approach my choices with this in mind, and it makes it easier to give up the things that are ultimately harmful to me, even if they bring me momentary pleasure. I frame any decision by asking myself, will it bring me happiness? This shifts my focus from what I may be denying myself to what I am ultimately seeking, lasting and stable happiness. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and go ahead and like this video and share it with others. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and bell icon below to get notified when I share more of my stories and other techniques to break through all obstacles. Bye for now.